Welcome, everybody. This is a nice turnout. We appreciate it. Let's see. Patty, you're going first. You just. Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
Are we on? Oh, wow. I feel famous. So I'm just here to introduce Brian Manktelow, our assemblyman, who's here to give us a proclamation for the day. Brian? We appreciate you coming down and spending time with us. I know you're a busy guy.
Well,
You are busy.
I am busy, but it's funny you said that. We had a sermon today in church about sometimes we're too busy, and I totally agree with that. So thank you again, and good afternoon. And I've walked down the street many and many times, parades, campaigning, just doing other things like that, and I really never thought about the cemetery being here and what it really stood for. And today we're going to do the dedication. And Sandy and everybody involved, thank you so much for doing this, because I pop in, I get to do the easy things, and then I leave. I try to always stay, but today, unfortunately, I cannot stay to the end. But thank you to everyone involved, because this is such an important part, Mayor, to our community here in Wayne County, to the community of Sodus and the village of Sodus. So thank you for allowing me to do something. And Sandy, may I present this to you, please? And I apologize, it's not in an envelope.
Okay.
So, Sandy, on behalf of the New York State Assembly, I wanted to present this New York State Assembly citation to you and the people of Sodus for what we're doing here this afternoon and for doing this. And may we never forget who is here, why they're here, and how important this is to our communities. So, Sandy, to you, on behalf of the Assembly, congratulations, and thank you again for your hard work, and thank you for allowing me just to say a few words this afternoon.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. And one thing I've learned to do over the years is really never pop in and pop out. But I do apologize. I do need to head to Albany this afternoon, and I still have to go back up and pick my wife up in Williamson. She's at my mom's, and then we're going to head home and finish packing, and then I'll head down. So again, thank you. And it is actually gorgeous weather. It's not snowing. It's it really is. We've been out here when it's been cold before too. So again, thank you for allowing me to say a few things. Thank you for allowing me to represent all of you. And I'm humbled that you guys are doing this as a veteran, and what it stands for. And what it stands for means so much. So thank you again, Sandy. And thank you everyone for being here and doing this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. We accept this on behalf of the Town of Sodus Historical Society, the Village of Sodus, and the Pomeroy Foundation. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for coming. Okay, Sandy, you're next, I think. Pomeroy. The Pomeroy information.
Good afternoon, Sandy Hopkins, Sodus Town Historian. And that was a rather short speech, wasn't it? Okay. The Pomeroy Foundation was designed by William G. Pomeroy Foundation. Is a private grant-making organization based in Syracuse, New York, that helps communities celebrate and preserve their history through 6 different markers signage programs which they have offered since 2006. They have been helping communities celebrate their local history with premium cast iron markers, starting with just 32 in Onondaga County, and they have now funded over 2,600 markers across 49 states. Here in Sodus, we are grateful for the foundation that has awarded us multiple markers in the last year. We appreciate the assistance we have received from Christine Kuhn in the application process, and Zach Finn in researching and locating local documentation needed for the veterans. In addition, the Sons of the American Revolution, Tim Middlebrook, has spent hours locating the burial papers and the pension papers which are required as proof to make the marker, and locally former SAR member Daryl Verstrate is a valuable resource because of his past research on local patriots. And Daryl had a lot of research when we put all these new stones and stuff in, so he was a big part of that. But that's the Pomeroy. Oh, okay. I'm done.
She's done for the time being. All right, what am I doing first? Glasses on. Okay. As Brian mentioned, walking about right by the cemetery for many years, and some people notice it. And, walking by the cemetery for many years, thank you, and noticing it, as Brian mentioned. Well, some of us grew up on this street. I did, my sister did. We started out over there at 17 Mill Street and then came down to 27 Mill Street. My best friend Sandy Cole Mankdalo is standing here. She started out at 21 and she went down to 35. And Jane, who's sitting in the car, Jane Niels Hopkins, she was down the street on this side at 36 Mill Street. So a few of the Mill Street kids are here today. Okay. And we also have our neighbors across the street, David and Janet Engler, who are in the old Granger house. Okay, here's a little bit of information about the Mill Street Cemetery. And on our new sign, there's a QR code that goes to our village website. And thank you, David, for getting that on there. This history is on there, at least it's all on there. This is only part of it. So bear with me. The old Mill Street Cemetery is a resting place of early settlers, including the Revolutionary War and War of 1812 veterans. The installation of the Pomeroy Foundation Patriot marker honors those who served in the Continental Army. The cemetery has been a part of the village since its very early days. The first settler in what later became the village of Sodus was John Holcomb. He settled here in November 1809. He settled up on Main Street here on the northeast corner. He offered to donate 3 acres of a plat of land for a burial ground on the hill, back here, overlooking, oh great. Thank you. Overlooking the village from the east. But the early settlers turned down the offer because the site was too far out. And at that time, in the very early 1800s, there were wolves around here. This was all wilderness. So that was too far out. Sadly, before Mr. Holcomb and his wife Chloe left for Ohio in the fall of 1816, they buried their 11-day-old son in the cemetery here in April. Since Mr. Holcomb's offer was turned down, the land on this site was donated by Enoch Turner around 1812. Mr. Turner owned what is now the Main Street area around the intersection of Maple Avenue and Main Street, and Mill Street and Main Street. He built the first hotel, the Northern Exchange, around 1810 on the northwest corner. 2 years later, he built the South Side Hotel that later became the Sodus Hotel. One of the earliest burials was that of Benjamin Blanchard, who died on January 15, 1812. The oldest person buried here is John Byes, who died in May 1831, the age of 95. His house on Lake Road had a secret room used as a station for the Underground Railroad. Later, his property was known as the Horn Farm, and he was a descendant of the gentleman that owned the Wall Street property in New York City. Shortly after John Holcomb arrived here, Reverend Byram Green and his brother, Dr. Joseph Green, settled in Sodus, first called East Ridge, in the summer of 1810. Green's Hill and Green's Corners are named after their family. Their father, Captain Joseph Green, who is right behind us here, is buried in this cemetery. Other war veterans buried here include Revolutionary War soldiers Philip Demrest, William Stone, Deacon John Norris, and Lemuel Higgins. The War of 1812 veterans buried here include Andrus Onderdonk, David Foster, Dr. Samuel Green, John Cox, Freeman Axtell, John Axtell, Timothy Axtell. They're all over here. William N. Loomis, William Stone, Samuel Morris, Benjamin D. Gardner, Craig Gordon, William Fulton, William Noble, and Moses Seeley. From the records, the last burial took place in July 1909, when Mrs. Mary Olin, the second wife of Dr. Solomon Olin, was buried in the cemetery next to her husband. Hers was the first burial to take place in the cemetery after 37 years. Her husband had been buried many years before in 1865. In recent years, the cemetery needed attention. In 2006, Town of Sodus historian Sandy Hopkins and Darrell and Amanda Verstraete headed the project to restore the crumbling markers of the Revolutionary War and Civil War veterans. Darrell and Amanda were essential in the processes of researching and obtaining the new markers. Darrell was a member of the Sons of the American Revolutionary War and the Sons of the Union Veterans of the Civil War. Amanda was a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. In order to preserve other markers, the markers were laid flat because they, before that time, all stood up. In the last few years, Sandy and John Hopkins have uncovered many markers where the grass had grown over them. The Village of Sodus Street Department maintains the area in the summer months. This year, the Village of Sodus has commissioned the sign for the cemetery. The sign and the Pomeroy Patriot marker will again draw attention to this resting place. Those passing by will know this as a site that honors early soldiers and settlers. For a list of the people buried on the site and to read many of their epitaphs and to view the 2018 Village of Sodus Centennial Mill Street Cemetery Tour that Sandy Hopkins conducted, you can go to the waynehistorians.org website. Okay, that's the information about this. Yeah. So, we mentioned the Revolutionary War soldiers here. And that's what the Patriot marker recognizes. The first one is Captain Joseph Green, who is somewhere behind me here. I guess he's over here because we moved this way. But he's right. We moved. He didn't move. But he's right toward the front over in here. He was born to Samuel Green and Hannah Jackson Green on October 28, 1754, in Rockland, Massachusetts. At the age of 21, he was one of the 40 men who marched to Plymouth County Courthouse and compelled the royal court to disperse. He served in several prominent battles and was present for the surrender of British General Charles Cornwallis to General George Washington on October 19, 1781, which ended the major campaigns of the Revolutionary War. During the war, Mr. Green served as an army captain under General Stark. With the passage of a law in 1830-1831, Captain Green was entitled to a military pension, but he refused to take it. Mr. Green married Mehetabel Beale around 1776 in Bridgewater, Plymouth, Massachusetts. They moved to Williamstown, where their children were educated. According to one source, the children, Mehetabel and Joseph, were born in 1777 and 1778. And Joseph was one of those two brothers that first settled here. Hannah was born in 1782. Byram, again, the other brother that settled here, was born in 1786. Other sources also list another son, Stephen. Local history sources give credit to the two of the sons, Reverend Byram, he also had a law degree, and Dr. Joseph, as being two of the first settlers in what was now the Village of Sodus. Byram was the first man in Wayne County to serve in the state legislature when the county was founded in 1823. And he also served as a member of the 28th U.S. Congress. Locally, Byram operated a store on the west corner of Rotterdam Road and Main Street. Unfortunately, Joseph and Mehetabel did not live to see their son serve in the federal government. Captain Green passed away on June 12, 1835. His wife had died 12 years earlier, December 15, 1823. Both are buried here, along with their daughter, Mehetabel. There is also a large monument and several family headstones in Sodus Rural Cemetery, where Byram's wife, children, and other family members are buried. So that's one of our soldiers. And the next one, this is Lemuel. Thank you.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Waving each other. All right. Here we go. Again. Thank you. My lovely assistant, Vanna. Lemuel Higgins, he lived from 1765 to November 2nd, 1824. Is it on? Yes.
Yeah.
Lemuel Higgins became a Revolutionary War soldier during the latter years of the war and was a prisoner for several months, according to the information in Lewis H. Clark's book, Military History of Wayne County. Lemuel was one of the earliest settlers in Sodus. In the spring of 1811, when the Green family built the 4 log cabins in what later became known as Green's Corners, and today is the intersection of West Main Street and Newark Street, Lemuel built his cabin around the same time where the Catholic Church is now located. Lemuel married Charity Eddie Higgins in 1780. Their daughter, Elizabeth, married Reverend Byram Green, one of the original settlers. So there's quite a connection there. Of course, remember, there weren't that many people around to choose from either. Yes. So the Higgins and the Green family were part of a group of 6 women and 6 men who formed the original Society of the Presbyterian Church on October 12, 1812. On August 11, 1819, the church group became known as the Presbyterian Union Society. At that time, Lemuel was elected as one of the 7 ruling elders. The Higgins and the Greens were the founding members of what became the village of Sodus, along with John Holcomb and his family. Okay, next. Next. I don't have my... Oh, there she go. Sandy, you're next. Where is she?
Over there.
Oh.
Do you need a lovely assistant?
Lovely
Very
assistant,
good.
please.
Hold it closer.
Get this before you pick up all of them.
You good?
Pinch it up. All right, I'm going to talk about Philip Damaris, who is way down there by that flower garden in the corner. That's his stone way down there. He's always got some pretty flowers on his grave. He was born May 26, 1761 in Virginfield, Virgin, New Jersey. His father, Jacob Damaris, was 26 and his mother, Marjorie Smith, was 20. He was one of 9 children. He married Maria in about 1780 in Virgin, New Jersey. They were the parents of 10 children. 3 boys and 7 girls. The Damaris family of the Virgin County provided soldiers for both sides of the conflict. At least 35 were known to have served. 24 on the congressional side and another 11 for fighting for the crown. He entered service about the 1st of April 1781. He was taken prisoner by the British in a little skirmish near Hackensack, Newbridge on or about April 10th. So he wasn't in the war very long. And carried to New York, where he remained a prisoner until the 1st of October. During part of his confinement, he was permitted to return home on parole of honor. He was required to report back every month. He died on April 18, 1845, at the age of 83. Some of those kids were born while he was in confinement, so when he got home to visit, he visited. So. All right. William Stone is the center one right down there in the center. Not the furthest one down, but right in the center up there. He was known as Reverend William Stone. He died in March 20th, 1840, at the age of 80. He was a native of Guilford, Connecticut, the great-great-grandson of Governor William Leet of colonial days, and his father, a great-great-son of the Reverend Samuel Stone, founder of New Hartford. He served as a private in the Revolutionary War and in the battles of Brandeville and Monmouth and others. At Brandeville, he stood near General Nash, that fired eater fell. He was a thorough Greek and Hebrew scholar and had such a fondness of books that the late General Wilcox of Killington, Connecticut said he always would remember him carrying the works of Joseph in his knapsack. Entering the Congressional military as he's stationed at Claremont, New Hampshire, from the east he performed a voluntary mission through all the original states, save Rhode Island and into Florida, spending 1.5 years in the Carolinas. With South he encountered several thrilling adventures, at one time chased by robbers and another time chased by panthers.
Oh, panthers.
Returning north, he preached in the town Paulsville County and then in Geronimo Newbridge. Afterwards was settled in Burlington, New York. A fellow laborer of his kinsman, the Reverend Daniel Nash, in 1807 he moved to Redfield, now Oswego County, and preached there several years, returning to Burlington, New York. And in 1817 we moved to the town of Junus, which we all is over that way, and from then to Sodus in 1818. And in that and the following years he was employed by the Albany Missionary Society in the western counties of New York, bordering up to Pennsylvania. And he and the Young Men Missionary Society of New York, and in 1820 and 21. Suffering from an accident from falling from a tree, he was unable to continue his missionary labors during the last 18 years of his life. He also had 10 children, and he was born in July 10th of 1759 and died at the age of 80.
That's a long time at that time, huh?
Yeah, that's old back then. It's old now.
Getting older and older.
Karen?
Karen's next. Do you need a holder, Karen, or you good?
No.
You good?
Hi. Yep. Last but not least, but also I don't have that.
Close to your mouth.
Okay. Last but not least, but I also don't have that much to say about John Norris because I couldn't find that much. John Norris, and his site is 3 down that way.
Closer to your mouth.
He was born in 1755 and died on January 30th, 1846 at 91 or so. They weren't sure exactly whether he was 90 or 91. He is buried in the Mill Street Cemetery in Sodus, New York, Wayne County. He was the son of Peter Norris and Mary Mulheron and was born in Morris County, New Jersey. John, also known as Deacon John Norris, and I never found out why, married Susanna Baldwin on the 24th day of February in 1779 for their son Peter. They resided in Hanover, New Jersey for about 17 years, and then they moved to Nunday, Livingston County, New York. Together, they had 8 children, so they weren't quite as prolific. They had Phoebe, Cyrenius, Hannah, Walter, Job Baldwin, John, Catherine, and Peter. Per his son Job B. of Sodus, New York, so he's the one that was living here. John enlisted in the Revolutionary Army on the 14th day of February 1776 in the town of Hanover, Morris County, New Jersey. It was the day he turned 21. He fought during the whole war and was present at the Battle of Monmouth. Now, Sandy mentioned Monmouth, the Battle of Monmouth, and the reason that is interesting is because the Battle of Monmouth was fought on June 28, 1778, in the modern-day town of Freeholdboro, New Jersey. It was considered a tactical draw, but it proved to be a moral-boosting triumph for the Revolutionary soldiers. Also, it was the battle of the war where Mary Hayes, the wife of a soldier, began bringing pitchers of water to cool the cannons and the American soldiers. She was technically the real Molly Pitcher.
Okay.
Microphone.
The next thing is the unveiling of the Patriot marker and the sign, which we don't have covered, but use your imagination. So we have to go over to the sign to do that.
Are you in motion, Nate? Do you want your microphone?
She's gonna speak into that.
Okay. Okay.
And you'll notice that it says at least 2 veterans are here. And the reason that it says that is because in order to get the Pomeroy marker, you have to prove that they were in the Revolutionary War, and that takes the burial papers and the pension papers. And you remember I said that Captain Joseph Green never went for the pension papers, but he was proved. But a couple of the others weren't, but we know they fought in the American Revolution. So that's the reason for the wording up there. So over here, can we go over here? And people didn't seem to know that there was a cemetery here. In fact, a year or so ago, we caught somebody going through here on a little scooter. So that upset us a little bit. And so we've been talking about this sign in the Village of Sodas board meetings for a couple of years now. So we finally got it, Lettering Lounge created the sign for us and actually installed it. And Karen and I picked out the design for it. And like I said, David actually put this on the Village of Sodas website. So what happens is you've got the QR code over here, and once you capture that, you can go to the website and you'll find the information about the Mill Street history. Okay. So I guess we don't need to go under there. Or maybe we do. Okay. So, I need to know. Just closing remarks. We appreciate the generosity of the William G. Pomeroy Foundation, who had provided the Patriot marker and to the Village of Sodas, who provided the sign. Again, with the William G. Pomeroy Foundation, Christy Kuhn, she's the contact, and she was always there whenever I called her about anything. The same with Tim Middlebrook. Tim Middlebrook is an SRO member, and I think he lives down toward New York City, but he was more than willing to help find the information for the soldiers and to prove it. And you have to go through the SRO to do that. And then we got into a couple of situations, so Zach Finn from Pomeroy Foundation got in on it, and he helped too. So it worked out pretty well. They're easy to work with. We hope that the sign and the marker will gain, again, draw attention to this site that has been here since the early days of our village. The Town of Sodas Historical Society thanks all of you for attending this special dedication. And now Patty Paprocki will give you the dates of the marker dedications that will take place in the next few weeks, because we have 7 new markers in all.
So, Sandy was very instrumental in getting these markers for us. So I just want to make sure we acknowledge Sandy for all her hard work. She loves digging for history, so. So the next dedication is the Third Methodist Church has a historic register marker being dedicated March 12th. said the wrong month. It's May. Just seeing if you're all awake. May 12th at 1 o'clock. Okay. Don't show up in March. It's not good. And then the next one will be Sodas Rural Cemetery for another Patriot marker on May 18th. It's a Sunday at 2 o'clock. And then we have two more. Bushnell Cemetery, Patriot marker, June 9th at 2 o'clock. And then South Soda Cemetery, Patriot marker, Monday, June 16th at 2 o'clock. The only one we don't have a specific date for yet is Brick Church and the Baptist Rural Cemetery. They're going to try to work those dedications around their 200th anniversary, which is next July. So be paying attention to as we get closer to that month and see where we land for a date on that. Okay. Thanks for coming.
Jim's right there.
Clothespins next time
What?
to hold the papers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Here, like that.
Good job, Sandy. Good